What is going on, Vype Nation? I am Whack. Got a new show coming your way on Mondays. Going to be joined by Scotty T going forward, but right now it's just me, and that's okay. We're going to be covering all things Texas high school sports, maybe talking a little bit more college and pros as well, just things in general like that. So thank you for joining us for the inaugural episode of Vype Talk, Locker Talk Live on Mondays. Going to try and come to you live around noon every Monday going forward. We'll let you know if that changes, but that is the plan. Pretty big week in sports in general, not only at the high school level, but pros and college as well. We'll talk about some of that here. And then around 12:25, so in about 9 minutes from now, we will be joined by head track coach from San Marcos High School and our new partner over at Vype for the Icoach Podcast, Coach Marvin Nash. Looking forward to talking with him. He's wrapping up some class right now, and he'll be giving us a call here in about 9 minutes. So let's talk about the sports that happened this weekend. For those of you that aren't big golf fans, the Masters happened this past weekend, and had a new champion. First player from Japan to win. He finished at -10. A little I guess suspense there at the end as he missed the par putt, so he had to make the bogey to win by one stroke, and that's Hideki Matsuyama. So first time he's won the Masters, first time someone from Japan has won the Masters. So just a big day for him. So congrats to him on that win. And then in the college ranks, something that's never happened in the college ranks, at least I believe in Division I at least and above. So something I've always wondered this myself, is like, has this ever happened? A perfect game, which has happened, but all strikeouts. So Hope Trotwin from North Texas, your very own Texas school, North Texas, pitched a perfect game with all strikeouts. That is it's incredible to even fathom. Like, when you talk about college athletes and above, just the amount of skill level there is at that level, and to be able to do what she did, I mean, that's amazing. Like I said, never been done at this level before or higher. There have, of course, been perfect games, but not this perfect. This is perfection at its finest, and she was able to do that. Hats off to her. I'm sure if you just Google North Texas softball and read up on her, what a day for her, and what a day for North Texas. So hats off to her as well. And then for me, of course, one of the big things, people don't call it a sport, but I like to talk about it anyways. WrestleMania happened. The last 2 years they've done 2 nights, and I really like that approach that they've been doing the last 2 years of 2 nights. I've been to a couple of WrestleManias, and that 7-8 hour day is quite taxing, to say the least, from a fan perspective, and trying to cheer and get behind those people in that way. So it was good to watch that, and I think night 1 was better than night 2 personally, but good to have it. Fans back in were in the stands, and I think for 25,000, which typically you're close to over around 90,000. So for that being the first time back, and I think they had like a little 1 year, 1 month, 1 day type of thing. They had it down to science how long it had been since the fans had been there. But it was they were glad to have him back. You could tell fans were glad to be back. So gotta love the wrestling aspect of that. So that's one of my little things that I definitely enjoyed watching this past weekend. And now we move into high school level. The high school sports, of course, they don't stop in Texas. Pretty much almost a year-round thing. I mean, heck, even during the summer, you got 7-on-7 and little club leagues and things like that. Starting in baseball, and we'll stay here in the Austin area because we got 2 kind of really big matchups happening this week in Austin. The first is for baseball, and that's Lake Travis and Bowie. So if you've been following us the last few weeks, you'll know that we've been doing rankings for, I think this is week 5 or 6 now. We've been doing some rankings for the Austin and San Antonio areas for baseball and softball. And Lake Travis has had a firm grasp on that number one seed, number one spot, I should say, since we started. And 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 wouldn't you know it, now they're playing the number two seed this week in Austin Bowie. They've slowly climbed up our rankings and find that number two spot just in time for this matchup, this key matchup, because they are district opponents in this district play. So should be an interesting game. Cedar Park dropped down. They were a number two team. They dropped down. We could have left them at number two, but it makes things a little interesting when you have number one facing number two. And then we move on to the to the softball level with undefeated and number one nationally ranked Leander taking on Georgetown Eastview this weekend, and that one's going to be a good game. Leander's had a couple of close games. They actually had a close game against Cedar Park softball. They lost. They only won by one run. But another time they've only won by one run was against Georgetown Eastview. So that's a game I've had circled on my calendar for the last few months now, or not some months, last few weeks. Sorry. And now it's happening, and I'm interested to see if Eastview can be that first team to beat Leander. They only lost by one run last time, so it'll be interesting to see if they can do that again. And then we got soccer. Soccer's now in the semifinal stage, so state is happening here in Georgetown this weekend. I'm going to run through some of these, just run through the matchups and let you know what's going on with some of these. So we're going to start with the 4A Region 1 and 2 boys. We got Diamond Hill, Jarvis, and Selena. They're the two left there. Whoever wins this one will be taking on the winner of the Region 3 and 4, which is Hargrave and Bernie. So Bernie's they've had some really good sport outings this year. Constantly see them getting far in the playoffs, and soccer is no exception here. Moving on to the 5A Region 1 and 2, we got Del Valle taking on Wakeland. That's not Austin Del Valle, if I'm not mistaken. That's El Paso Del Valle. So just so you know there, just so there's no confusion on which Del Valle that is. If I'm wrong, someone can correct me, but I'm almost pretty sure that is the El Paso Del Valle. And then we got the Region 3 and 4 for 5A. We have Kingwood Park and Valley View are the two left there. Kingwood Park getting over Hendrickson and Valley View beating Porter there. Move on to the 6A for the boys. We have, let me pull it up here, Allen and Rockwall Heath, two kind of mainstays in the powers that be in the Dallas area, going to face off, and whoever wins that one will play the winner of Jersey Village and Lee. So Lee is one of the proverbial powers in Texas when it comes to soccer. It's no surprise that they're here. I expect them to beat Jersey Village, but then again, I mean, soccer is one of those sports where anything can happen. I mean, you see here Lee won to Lake Travis in extras. As you can see, it was 1-1, and Lake Travis they're no slouch themselves. So like I said, I expect Lee to be in that final on I think Friday or Saturday. I think I think it's Friday if I'm not mistaken, but Friday or Saturday they play, and I expect to see Lee there. But like I said, anything can happen in the sport of soccer. Moving on to the girls' side of things, we got 4A Region 1 and 2. We got Midlothian Heritage taking on Selena. So looks like Selena made it in both the boys and the girls bracket. So it'll be interesting to see. Here's the boys bracket again. Right there you got Selena. So we will see what happens there. Region 3 and 4 for 4A, we have Salado and Cal Allen. So Salado, we kind of count them as somewhat of a hill country team taking on Cal Allen. See what happens there. Moving on to the 5A Region 1 and 2 for the girls, we have Grapevine taking on Wakeland. Again, I think Wakeland is another team we might have seen in the boys' side of things. Girls 3 and 4 region, we have Friendswood taking on Dripping Springs. Dripping Springs right up the road. Friendswood, a Houston area school. So another exciting matchup going on there. And then we got Region 1 and 2 for the 6A realm. We have Flower Mound taking on the Woodlands. Matt Malatestins own the Woodlands, so I'm sure he'll be cheering on that squad. I think that one's happening tomorrow. And then finally, 6A Region 3 and 4, we have Memorial taking on Vandergrift. Memorial, Spring Branch ISD, one of our campus clients here at Vype, taking on Vandergrift. As many of you know, our broadcast director, Merle Bertrand, is the voice of the Vandergrift Vipers football team. So I'm sure he has a soft spot for this one and is going to be paying close attention to that game to see if Vandergrift can get there. They've been close a couple of times. I know they got to the I think third or fourth round in football. Right on time. Sorry if you heard my ringtone featuring The Legend of Zelda. I got Coach Marvin Nash on the phone. Coach Nash, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Awesome, Coach Nash. First off, how are you doing today? How's your week starting off so far?
Man, it's amazing here in San Marcos, America. We have all of our students back in person for the first time since before spring break of last year. So we started the day with our football team helping the elementary kids out of their cars and working the car line. So it's a great day. I feel excited to be back.
Now, I'm obviously going to talk about your track, and I'm going to talk about the Icoach podcast. But let's go ahead and talk about that. What's that like to have the students in person? I know, talking to just various people, it's been kind of taxing, not only the teachers but the students, just the whole online aspect. What's that do for your energy just to be back in person with students?
It's like a big calm. It's a sigh of relief. Myself and most teachers here are, I think, almost all are vaccinated, which makes it amazing. But the second part is the precautions that the district took to make sure it's safe for our kids. We have classroom dividers, our desks are spaced out enough. Our class sizes are overwhelming, so we have students here safely learning. But the big thing is that they're getting some social interaction, and you can tell it's been a while. The kids are excited to see each other. They're excited to learn. And there's only so much you can do through a Zoom screen when you're talking about the attention span of high schoolers. So with them here in person, I mean, I was renewed. My energy was at the highest level it's ever been, and the kids are so engaged. I mean, it's fun. Teaching is back to what it should be. It should be fun.
Well, and I can guarantee you that energy. I know your energy well, Coach, and so I'm sure the kids are going to feed off that being in person. So let's talk about right now head track coach for San Marcos High School. Let's talk about your track season before we get to the iCoach podcast stuff. Tell us how your track seasons has been going. Tell us what to expect going forward. Just give us a little update.
Absolutely. I know with the kids here, track was never really just on the forefront of anyone's minds. It was kind of a secondary sport, and I'm not saying it's overtaking any other sport, but what's happening is that the excitement of seeing the benefits of running track and what they can do for you in every other sport has really sparked the interest of all of our star athletes. So, I mean, we have tons of football players who are amazing, who come out and run track. We have uh, our basketball team, which is young, but it features our defensive player of the year for the district and another first teamer. They all came out to run track, and it was just to make them better at their primary sports, but they also helped make us be a pretty decent track team. We started the year a little rough because we didn't know what to expect. With all the COVID guidelines going forward, they were hard to find really good track meets. But once we got rolling, we're able to see a level of success that I don't think many of these kids have seen in track before. So I'm excited about the future. I think it's a building block for what we need to just make an overall dominant program within Central Texas athletically, and it's happening in every sport, including track.
And I do know you are a big proponent of multi-sport athletes, and I think that shows in how you've built up that program this year. Have y'all had district yet? I can't remember.
We did. We got our mile relay out in district, and they were led by not one senior on the team, a few sophomore, a couple of sophomores, and a couple of juniors, who coincidentally are multi-sport athletes. We had a varsity basketball player, a varsity football player, and then a couple of cross country placers who made up that mile relay team. But they were able to make it to the area meet, which is this Friday at Vandergrift High School. We also got a long jumper, two triple jumpers, and a high jumper out in area, which was pretty cool for us to get some really high places in every single jump at the district meet.
Well, and I'm sure that that makes you a little excited to know that your mile relay team doesn't have a senior, running, so you're gonna have them for a couple more years at least. So and first year too. I mean, this is interesting for you. I mean, a lot of there are a few new coaches at San Marcos. Of course, we know athletic director and head football coach Coach Walsh. First year yourself is a first year there at San Marcos. So especially trying to build that program during the COVID times, just what y'all been able to do, and that kind of, I guess, adversity has been really interesting to watch this year. What's that been like for you, coaching in such a unique year, and it being your first year on top of that?
I mean, it's one of those things, man, where if it could go wrong, it went wrong, but we were always able to find a solution. And I think that's the most promising thing about it. But it's definitely been the most challenging year I've ever had as a coach. And with I guess with the COVID guidelines and just the uncertainty of not knowing if your game's going to get canceled, if you're going to get shut down, if you're going to have positive tests, if your coaches are going to get sick, just that uncertainty made every day an adventure. But I'm blessed to say that we were able to make it through the entire season in football, and track we were able to make it through. Leading up to the area meet. So far so good. We found a way.
And I think it helps when you have such positive people. I know just from experience, you yourself and Coach Walsh are very positive individuals, and I think that definitely goes a long way to making the program just overall feel better in such a weird year, if you will.
Absolutely. I know I've worked with Coach Walsh for a really long time. He gave me my first job in middle school 16 years ago. And one thing I learned from him is that when things go wrong, you can either complain about it or you can find a solution. And he's a problem solver, and he's kind of taught that to his coaches. He mentors us all to be problem solvers and look for the positive in any situation.
And I think it's a good transition point to the Icoach podcast. You talk about being a mentor and having your own philosophies. That's really what the Icoach podcast is all about. Can you tell us a little bit about the Icoach podcast?
Absolutely. I mean, it was a project I put together a couple of years ago. And really, the reason why I started it was I wanted to face my fears. I had a really, really horrible experience in elementary school. I had a really bad speech impediment. I still struggle with it today. But, what better way to face your fears than to start a podcast where you have to hear your own voice and be just disgusted by it. So it was one of those things where I started there, but I had a story to tell. I was a young man coming up in high school. I was the only child. My mother had stage 4 cancer, and it was coaches that stepped in and filled the gap for me. And I wouldn't be where I am today without my high school coaches, without my college coaches. And I knew when I got into this profession that that's what I wanted to do. And as I looked at football podcasts, there's a ton of them on X's and O's, but I wanted to speak to the heart of the coach. What's the philosophy behind why? Why are you doing what you're choosing to do? And so telling those stories, you really get to see that coaching is so much more than just calling the right play on a Friday night or playing the right kid at a basketball game. It is your heart, your soul. It's a part of who you are, and it's who I am. It's I coach. That became my nickname because I coach. It's a moniker that refers to who I am as a person.
Now, I know you're not watching. You're here on the phone with us right now. I got the episode 1 kind of teaser logo on the screen when you talk with Coach Leon Paul. Talk to us a little bit about that one. For those that missed it, and then tease us for what's happening this week on the Icoach podcast.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Coach Leon Paul is a true professional. Just the opportunity to speak with him, with the pressure of coaching at one of the most dominant programs in the state of Texas, maybe even the nation, at Duncanville High School. He's the passing game coordinator for the football team, but he's also the head track coach. And the way he blended track and football together to just make it like year-round schedule and working with other coaches and building just a dominant program. Most places, you have to kind of seek out kids to run track, and he was almost having to turn kids away or make a JV and a freshman team and maybe even a B team after that, just to give them opportunities. And just hearing his passion behind why he chose what he does, and then the trust he puts in his coaches and the development of coaches, it's just an incredible podcast. He's an incredible coach as well, and I look forward to keeping up with him in the future and seeing what happens at Duncanville High School. But transitioning to this week, we're speaking with DeMarcus Harris. He is the newest head football coach at Mesquite High School, formerly the defensive coordinator at Cedar Hill High School. And DeMarcus and I have a very similar story. We actually were college teammates at Austin College in Sherman, Texas. So small school guys, who saw the importance of being the coach that you needed when you were younger, being the coach that helped you get to that next level. And so we had just a very great conversation and talked about all of the things that we saw in common with being a coach and the philosophy behind leading a program. So it's a tremendous episode, and Coach Harris is a tremendous man. He's going to do great things at Mesquite High School.
Well, Coach, before I let you go, I just want to say I'm glad to have you not only on the show today, but just working with you on the Icoach podcast. I know, kind of early because we helped you guys out this year at San Marcos, and me and you had some conversations about, hey, just chatting, and you brought up your podcast, and I gave it a listen and absolutely fell in love with it. And so glad for you to be able to come on and really, tell the stories of not just yourself, but of these coaches and what their philosophies are. And so, excited to see where this thing goes, and not only excited for you to do this, and excited to see, your progress as this track season progresses.
Thank you, Josh. I really appreciate it. I mean, Vype is a world-class organization, and you're one of the high caliber, world-class people I've ever met. So it's a pleasure for me to work with you, and I look forward to the future.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, Coach, and we'll be talking soon, me and you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, Coach. Talk to you later.
All right. Take care, Josh.
Bye. Again, that was Coach Marvin Nash, head track and field coach at San Marcos High School, and also the podcast host of the Icoach Podcast. And that is going to do it for our show today. Going to be about a 30-40 minute show every week. We do have a special little segment, but we'll have to save that for next week because that is specifically for Scotty T. And so until next time, I am Wack, and this is the Vype Locker Talk Live Monday show. See you guys later.